Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk. Now, usually I would say, I hope you're doing good. I hope you're doing well. But the entitlement from the chat box this morning is something different. I get up early to make these shows, and people are just going in on me, just delaying the show by 5 minutes. I just need to try and sort something out, which is now going to have to be sorted out tomorrow, and I'll talk a bit about that later. But ridiculous, ridiculous messages being sent in the chat box this morning. Oh, we shouldn't rename this channel The Late Talk. Great one. Fantastic. Anyway, good morning, everybody. James, Kaiser, Johnny. I'm not even going to check who was properly first in YouTube. Carl, Morgie, Yomi, Olu, Rich, Afsar, NSW, Dom, Vala, Harrison, Orin, Marcus, Sandman, Stephen. Good morning, everybody in the chat box. And I forgive you. I forgive you, people, okay? I forgive you. Let's jump into today's stories. If you haven't already dropped a like on the video, of course, please make sure that you do. And you subscribe as well to the channel. Let's jump into Arsenal's game against Sporting Club de Portugal. Of course, who we play tonight in the Jose Alvalade Stadium. I'm going to get that right. It is the Jose Alvarado Stadium, I think. Alvalade Stadium. That's the one. There we go. There's a lot of Jose's. Where Arsenal will, of course, play tonight. And they will indeed be hoping to get a decent win in the first leg. So it kind of takes all of the profit, I suppose profit, if we don't make through this round, we're going to be missing out on plenty of money. I say plenty of money. The Europa League compared to the Champions League is significantly different. But we want to make sure we progress to get through and potentially get to the final and win it. It's not only for the money, but of course the trophy involved in it, which Arsenal would certainly be adding to a historic list. And we know that we've had quite the years since our last European trophy. But Arsenal will be looking to get through to profit off of some mistakes in that Sporting team and some of the absences. Zagate is suspended, one of their big midfield replacements for Palinha, who moved to Fulham, who will ironically also not be available because he is unavailable to play on Sunday against Arsenal for them as well. So, yes, if you want to go and watch our preview show, you can do that. We did that yesterday with some fantastic crew of the TGT family and our members and our Discord. So make sure you do indeed do that. Okay. Gabriel Jesus, behind the scenes at London Colney yesterday was very, very nice to get down there. Although what I will say is that it was ridiculously cold. Like if we're talking about pure freezing cold temperatures, I was struggling a lot. I'm going to share a video with you now if this whole thing lets me even do that. But in fact, it might not because I'm on the same tab. But if I click on my Twitter account and then share my screen with you, should be able to show you some clips of Gabriel Jesus training if you've not already seen it. Here we go. Hopefully it's coming up on your screen now. Gabriel Jesus was indeed involved in plenty of activities, as you can see on your screen now, getting into tackles, sprinting, twisting, turning, tackling, in the small exercises that we saw in yesterday's open training session. So I hope that gives you a little bit of an insight into what we saw whilst we were there. I tried to get some footage of it and shared that around on social media as well. But yes, Gabriel Jesus fully involved in training, which is a really, really positive outcome of yesterday, because there was so much that that could have gone wrong regarding Gabriel Jesus in training, but he looked very, very good indeed. And there was a point at the end of training where I think it was Thomas Partey. I mean, a lot of the players was wrapped up in woolly hats, in snoods, in gloves, in coats. They made it very difficult to identify people from about 100 yards away. But I'm pretty sure from looking through the training pictures, Thomas Partey did indeed kind of flatten Gabriel Jesus at one stage, and he laid on the floor with his arms out like, well, that's a foul. And nothing was given and play continued. But he jumped straight back and got on with things. But, I don't particularly mind seeing that. Some people I remember commenting off the back of that picture that was shared around on social media of Partey and Jesus saying, leave him alone, stop tackling him. You got to get back to full fitness. And that is going to mean riding challenges and taking hits in training, because it's part and parcel of that recovery process. And they wouldn't be allowing the players to go in hard on Jesus if they didn't think that he was ready to face that type of level of challenge. Now, the reports are that he potentially has indeed travelled to Portugal with the squad. However, Mikel Arteta, in his pre-match press conference, refused to be drawn on any of that type of stuff, and unsurprisingly so. When asked about Nketiah and Trossard, he said, let's see how they evolve regarding being available for the weekend. Obviously, we have had a few issues in the last few days. We're trying to accommodate everybody and get everybody in the best possible condition for the Sporting game. He says, I'm not having a separate league team and cup team. He says, because we have one team and we have to play all the games with the best possible players to win it. At this moment, we have made 8 changes in the competition, so we try to accommodate as well. Players have moments in the season where they are available or not available, and tomorrow it will be the same case. But for sure, we will try to put the most competitive team together to win the game. Fabio Vieira and Kieran Tierney have supposedly been suffering with illness. Fabio Vieira has a bit of a sore throat. I actually walked past Kieran Tierney yesterday leaving the training centre. He had his full tracksuit on, hood up. Wasn't looking particularly excited and looked more ill than anything else. So he isn't going to be available for the game today. Hopefully he will have recovered by the weekend, and we wish him the best in his swift recovery. But certainly Fabio Vieira hopefully will be fine, just a sore throat. But Kieran Tierney was not well enough to travel, unfortunately. So that's Mikel Arteta. He did obviously talk about Sporting as well and their opponents. And we actually heard from Amorim, who is the Sporting coach. And the manager rather of Sporting was very complimentary of Mikel Arteta, saying that he's kind of the top example that there is at the moment. He was asked about Sporting's tactical flexibility. He said the variety options and the change in formations that they can do, and within that shape as well. The profile of players, especially the wing-backs, change their behaviours. We know that, and until we have the lineups, we will have a few question marks as we try to understand what they will do. Talking about Fabio Vieira, though, he was asked on if he spoke to Vieira about Sporting, and he said, for sure, that was the first thing that we did, because it's great to have the knowledge and the understanding of someone from their country who knows the manager and has international teammates. It's always very useful, and he talked really highly of Sporting. So, yes, obviously you want to try and use that information as best you can. Now, Gabriel Martinelli was the player that was also spoken to by the media yesterday, and actually was asked a few good questions about Bukayo Saka. He was asked about whether or not Bukayo Saka would indeed intend to stay with the club and whether he thought his teammate would indeed be staying. And he basically said, I'll be happy if he re-signs because he's a very, very good player, one of the best young players in the world. He's at his house. Arsenal is his home, and for sure, he's happy and will be happy as well if he stays. He'll stay for sure. He loves the club. So he's clearly very committal to the idea that Saka is indeed going to still be at the club for the forthcoming seasons. He was also asked about kind of where he likes to play the most, and he says he likes to play up top, but he would play in goal if it meant that he was on the field. So I think that probably gives us the best answer regarding whether or not we can see Martinelli playing up front. He'd happily play in goal if he was asked to. And he said, if you play for Arsenal, you need to go into every competition to win. And that's our mentality. And we play against Sporting tomorrow, and we go there to win. So there you go. Martinelli talking ahead of the game tomorrow. It was meant to be Vieira, but he had a sore throat, so Martinelli took the reins instead. Now, Arsenal has said, according to Fabrizio Romano, to be very happy indeed with Jorginho. His influence on the dressing room, his influence on the pitch as well. But Jorginho is a player that they are very happy to have signed, and the influence that he has made on the team, they are very, very pleased with indeed. However, this is not said to be preventing them for signing a midfielder in the summer, and Arsenal will still intend to prioritise a midfielder. We know that Declan Rice is the club's priority. We've reported that ourselves. We've reported and seen reports of that elsewhere, that Rice is indeed the player that Arsenal will be prioritising to try and sign from West Ham when the season concludes, with talks supposedly already taking place to try and lay out the outline of a deal for the summer. So very interesting indeed as to see what happens. And our final Arsenal-related story, Newcastle are interested in signing Folarin Balogun. Reports coming out yesterday suggesting that the Premier League side have got their eyes set on Balogun. It's a bit of a strange one. I know that obviously they're going to be looking to try and sign up top talent. But they have Callum Wilson and they have Alexander Isak. So I'm not really sure how Balogun fits into those plans. But they are also interested in Kieran Tierney, which makes a lot more sense. It's worth noting that a lot more clubs apparently also interested. West Ham, Burnley, should they get promoted, and they are expected to, also said to have an interest in Kieran Tierney as well. We'll go into the chat box shortly. Of course, before we wrap up part one, I do want to talk about the elephant in the room, which is how funny Spurs are. Oh, dearie me. If there is one team that can bring you joy, bring you laughter in your life, it is Tottenham Hotspur, who not only completely disappointed at home against Milan last night in the Champions League, but then we were treated to the Richarlison circus. He in his post-match press conference, or rather just a post-match interview in the mix zone or with TV or wherever he was talking, I couldn't quite believe what I was hearing. But when it was translated through what he'd said, saying that we're having a bad season. He said a worse word than the word I'm going to use, but he said we're having a bad season. And he really questioned Antonio Conte's selections. He kind of said he didn't really understand why he wasn't playing more. He said that he played in the wins against Chelsea and against West Ham, and then all of a sudden he's not playing. I just love it. I love the capitulation. I love the complete it's kind of internal combustion that's going on. They're spontaneously combusting from the inside out, and I love it. So Spurs, unlucky guys, but just please continue to dare to do and to entertain us because it's very, very funny and we enjoy it a hell of a lot. Of course, before we wrap up part one, I need to tell you about our brand new prize. Gabriel Martinelli signed 2022-23 Arsenal home shirt, courtesy of Football Prizes. Half the tickets within a day has already been sold. So make sure that you do go in and get a ticket before they run out. 105 of the 199 tickets have been sold, more than half now. Tickets are going for £4.95. The early bird price has, I'm afraid, run out now at this stage. But if you buy a ticket, you could be with the chance of also winning a signed and framed Thomas Partey shirt, a Eddie Nketiah signed Arsenal shirt, and a Gabriel Jesus signed and framed Brazil photo montage. So make sure you get involved with that, and plenty of Football Prizes site credit as well. Okay, let's go to part two and your questions right after this. Okay, part two, your questions. First things first, updates on the merch situation. I was hoping to have it sorted by this morning, but we've run into a couple of obstacles that need to be fulfilled before we can link it in with the YouTube. So hopefully I'll be bringing you information on that tomorrow. So the shop's all set up and sorted. It's just about now linking it into YouTube as well, so that we can, so you can actually get stuff straight through YouTube rather than having to jump through some hoops and stuff like that. I say hoops, it's literally going to another website, but it would be good if it was linked to the YouTube before we start talking about it and promoting it. So if you want to get involved, I can tell you, what I can tell you is you'll be able to get your hands on, if you are based, and apparently not just in the UK, but for those based in the EU as well, we'll also be providing sales. For those based elsewhere outside of the UK and the EU, we'll hopefully be widening the sales of the TGT non-profit charity supporting merchandise. As if it's successful and if it does well, we'll be able to widen it up to the wider world. Of course, there'll be an additional postage and packaging charge to send it out that far. But as I say, I'm going to be going to America in April, and I'm hoping to take some with me. I can tell you that you can get your hands on the black and grey cap that you can see me wearing now, but we're also doing a black and red cap as well, with the cannon in its red form too. So two different styles that you'll be able to get your hands on as well. So some good news to tell you about. Hopefully I can give you some more information on that tomorrow. And as I always bring up, yes, we will be going to Chicago in April. Tickets for the event are going on sale tomorrow. So tomorrow I'll be giving you plenty of information, but I would certainly recommend signing up to the pre-sale, which I think you can do via the Gooner Palooza website on the Chicago Gooners website. So make sure that you do indeed get involved and sign up, because I'm expecting a very, very swift sale of the tickets, considering that we'll be promoting it. Chicago Gooners will be promoting it. Arsenal Vision will be promoting it. Mike will be promoting it. And Sophie will be promoting it. So, yes, it's going to be very, very quick, I imagine. So There are VIP tickets if you want to sit near the front with a table, and there are the other tickets to other seating areas and standing areas as well. So make sure you get involved. I think there's something like 180 odds that might be available. So they're going to go fast. But there's also lots of other events going on over the weekend that you definitely need to get involved in as well, beyond just the podcast. Anyway, that was a really long start to part 2 without taking any questions. So let's make sure that we jump into the chat and take some of yours. Okay, let's go to Lynn, who says, Tom, did you see yesterday the guy who broke down Sporting? It was quite interesting. No, I haven't, Lynn. Make sure you send that to me and I'll take a look at it. Jonathan says, hi, Tom. Do you see us adding another front 3 player in the summer? The addition of Trossard and the extension of Reece Nelson's contract make it unlikely. I think that we need to, personally, I think we need to add another forward. That could come in the form of Folarin Balogun. It might depend on what happens with him. But I do think that we need to add something else to that forward line just to strengthen it a bit more. But maybe it's more of a versatile forward. Who knows what's going to happen with Balogun and Nketiah? I feel like we end up talking about that every single day. Vala says, what's the status on your fitness journey and the Strava group? Injury update, extreme weather conditions having an influence? A little bit, yes. Injury update. Things are recovering, thank goodness. For those that don't know, I had a small operation on my foot, which unfortunately had some nerve-related complications, which has made running a real challenge. However, I have been going out and playing golf and logging, as many whenever I remember, logging my golf walks, which is a significant walk for a 9 or 18 hole. On the Strava app. If you want to join our Strava app and share your fitness journeys, that's www.strava.com/clubs/ESARP. That's Eat, Sleep, Arsenal, Repeat podcast, which I can tell you hopefully will be back next week. With all the midweek games, it's becoming really difficult to record the Eat, Sleep, Arsenal, Repeat pods. But hopefully next week we'll have another one for you. And in the summer, when the season finishes, obviously we'll be doing them even more regularly because there's no football. So we'll have even more content for you to cover the transfer window. Let's go to West Mid says, what's your score prediction for today? I can tell you if you go and watch our preview show yesterday. So make sure you go and watch that. ZJ says, do we need another cover for left back as Tierney seems to be unavailable when we need him for rotation? I think, well, obviously in the summer, I think Tierney's going to move on. My prediction is Tierney will be sold and he will go somewhere else. I think that we ultimately will then see Tomiyasu become our backup left back to Zinchenko. And then I think we'll probably move for a right back in the summer, a more offensive-minded, more successful in the final third type right back to sign for Arsenal. That's what I predict is going to happen. Who knows? Maybe we'll sign one in both areas. We'll have to wait and see. If I scroll up, I think there was a super chat I missed as well. Let's try and find that. Yes, Mr. Joe Kerr, one of our fantastic members, says, dependent on tonight's scoreline, because we will win, how optimistic are you of a potential run to the final and possible opponents as well? I am optimistic about our chance in the Europa League. I feel as though our opponents are probably going to end up being someone like Juventus or Manchester United. Juventus, trust me, will be taking this seriously, because if they can win the Europa League, it gives them the qualification to the Champions League. They're not guaranteed that through the league because of their situation through points deductions. They could still make top four in Serie A, and they are on decent form, but they will need the Europa League to ensure that they qualify for the competition next season. So they will want to win that. Manchester United, as we know, are the other big, strong side in the competition. Sevilla, although not having the best season in La Liga, they themselves are, notoriously good in the Europa League. Let me just run you through the fixtures tonight for those that are unaware. Today, Arsenal will play at 5:45 UK time. I like that kickoff time. It means that I'm not working till silly o'clock at night and instead working, I think, to about 10. The reason why I'm not out there is Kaya's in Portugal at the moment, so I'll be covering the game from home in cold England whilst they're out enjoying themselves in very warm Portugal. Not that I'm salty at all. Sporting Arsenal 5:45. At the same time as us is Union Berlin against Union Saint-Gilloise, the Belgian sides playing against the German team. I think they also face one another in the group stage as well. I think Union Saint-Gilloise did all right, to be fair. So that's one to keep an eye on. Bayer Leverkusen will play Ferencváros and Roma Jose Mourinho's Roma will play against Real Sociedad. So some very interesting. My predictions are Arsenal, Union Berlin, Sociedad, and Leverkusen will be the sides to progress in those fixtures. And then in the 8 o'clock games is Shakhtar Donetsk against Feyenoord. Manchester United have arguably what was, maybe besides Real Sociedad, their toughest opponent of that draw, Real Betis. Juventus play a very good German side in Freiburg, and Sevilla face Fenerbahce. So that's the lineup for tonight's games. Regarding predictions for the other ones, I think Shakhtar will go through, Man United will go through, Juventus will go through, and Fenerbahce will go through. Sevilla really need points in the league, so who knows? Maybe it's naivety, but we'll have to wait and see. Scrolling down some more in the chat box. I love that you guys are like, I gave in regarding talking about Spurs. It was always planning. It's in the video headline. I was always going to talk about Tottenham and the hilarity that they are. Don't you worry. We'll always make time. Always make time. So let's go to Ali, who says, am I the only one who goes full on Will Smith whenever I hear an Italian media outlet reporting on Arsenal? I love Osimhen just as much as the other guy, but who's buying it? However, I'm all for the Leao rumours. It's difficult, isn't it, Ali? And we always recommend you take reports that come from certain outlets with a pinch of salt, because they've often proven not to be anything other than rumor and just, what's the word I'm looking for, hearsay. So we always kind of recommend how indeed you should approach certain rumors. But I'd love to see Victor Osimhen at Arsenal. I think he's a fantastic striker. I just don't see it happening. I don't see Arsenal stumping up the cash that it would take to sign him. So who knows? We'll have to wait and see what happens with a striker in the summer. What on earth are you guys talking? Keep your maiden Chelsea level dramas to social media. Get it out of my chat box. HMM Spike says, did you see the Polish sources suggesting that Kiwior will get the nod tonight? I hope that that's true. I would love to see Kiwior given an opportunity this evening. It would make sense. To be fair, he trained yesterday. He was in competition, and you know, if there is a chance to play him, according to some Polish outlets, according to Mexki, which are an outlet in Portugal, they're saying that Kiwior is expected to make his debut tonight. So let's see if indeed that does happen. Let's go to Seb says, who starts at left back? I think Tomiyasu may start at left back tonight, and I think that White may start at right back. That would be my prediction. That's what I would like to see as well. Give Zinchenko a bit of a rest. Marcus Edwards is on that right flank as well, as far as I'm aware. So having Tomiyasu going up against him, I think is the better option defensively. Gives us a little bit more solidity at the back. So I think, Kiwior, who's got the pace to deal with Marcus Edwards, very quick player, is Kiwior. Kiwior and Tomiyasu. But who knows? Maybe Kiwior will be at left back. He has played there in the past. So I'm very intrigued as to what we might see regarding the game and the team news tonight. Akshat says, Tom, you looked hilariously miserable in your video from the training ground. How cold was it? Did I look that miserable? Was it that bad? I feel like it was just cold. Hold on, let me see if I can find the video and share my screen with you guys. You can make your own assumptions whether or not I was miserable or not. There you go. I don't think I'm that miserable, to be honest. I think I'm just cold. I think I'm just very cold in the video, to be fair. I had the TGT cap, though, keeping me warm and my head dry. So there you go. Marcus says, did you see much of Kiwior at training? And if so, what are your thoughts? He was just getting involved like any other player. He said hello to us as he walked past. One of the few players that does say hello. Some do. The coaches do. But Gabriel Jesus did. But yeah, often they are very focused on training, you know. And I mean, Rob Holding and Ben White ran out like 10 minutes before anybody else. And we were waiting in the cold for a long, long time. A really long time. And it was, trying to video things with your hands shaking and you're barely feeling your fingers. It was a challenge, but we did it and we got it done. And to be fair, you can't take those types of experiences for granted. I'm very, very lucky to be able to go and do that. So I don't take that for granted at all. Let's Bakary lasagna. I've just read your comment. Let's go to Jonathan, who says, Tom, what do you think about PSG's capitulation yesterday? It seems like football isn't just about oil money at all. Look, PSG needed to win their home game. And as soon as they didn't win their home game, I just did not give them any kind of hope at all in progressing past Bayern Munich. By the way, Bayern Munich in the Champions League are certainly probably the team to look out for this season. Whilst maybe in the Bundesliga they've dropped some points, in the Champions League they just seem to just know how to win. And we'll have to wait and see who ends up winning that competition. We hope not an English side. I don't particularly want to see. I want to see Man City go far and then lose the title. That's what I'd quite like to see. If I could pick a team, I'd probably pick Napoli. I'd love to see Napoli go forward and win the Champions League. That would have been an amazing achievement for them. And who knows? I think they've got the quality to be able to do it. So let's see if they turn out to be the side that do indeed win it. Let's go to Eugene says, what's happened with Kieran Tierney, Tom? He's just ill. That's what I've been told. So nothing too much to worry about as far as I've been made aware. So there you go. I can't talk about that, guys, and I'm not going to talk about that. So please stop asking me about that. Anyway, we are going to round things off there. I think it's probably a good point to finish things. If you want to know what I'm talking about, feel free to check the chat box. But thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Do drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here with those notifications turned on so you never miss a show. As I've said, fingers crossed, we'll have really good news regarding the merchandise, the non-profit merchandise tomorrow, and hopefully launching that tomorrow. Tickets are for the Chicago live show will be going on sale. For the Ramsdale live show will be going on sale. So make sure you get all the information, get yourself prepared and in that queue if you do indeed wish to intend to buy some tickets. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you on the Arsenal way after the game tonight. We'll be doing a show right after the game. And other than that, tomorrow morning, of course, will be the raw reaction of tonight's game. So please do tune back in for that. Have a fantastic Thursday and enjoy the game. See you soon. And as always, up the Arsenal.